What's up? It's your boy Carcino here. Let's talk about it. This is really what we know so far, right? They're going into what they're calling the results of the Kobe Bryant crash. So, was it the NTS reports, the the NTSB or something? They came to their conclusions of what happened that night. Now, it's been over a year. January 26, 2020 is when a lot of people's lives changed forever. It was hotly publicized because 9 people lost their lives on a helicopter that should have never happened. Now, a week into this, we knew what happened. But the pilot that crashed into the foggy Calabasas hillside a year ago should have not flown the helicopter at all. He became disoriented, he lost control. We know this already. Zabayan's decision to fly under visual flight rules in cloudy conditions, which resulted into this disorientation and loss of control of the aircraft. Uh, they felt that it was likely his self-induced pressure that he put on himself to get Kobe to his destination, and he ignored safety rules and everything else. And because of this, he flew at excessive speeds in bad weather. The helicopter was not in a controlled flight pattern when it crashed. Um, NTSB member Michael Graham said Zabayan ignored his training, added that as long as the helicopter continued to fly in the clouds while using visual flight rules, a certain percentage would not come out alive. Prior to recommendations from the NTSB that helicopters be outfitted with crash-proof flight data and voice recorders, people did not follow these plans, unfortunately, for the people that's involved. I don't know why they need to bring this up a year later. This investigation could have been done within 2 weeks. I don't think we've learned anything new here at all. You know, now, it's just putting this back into the public's eye. That the aviation, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, they didn't have certain features on the helicopters, or it wasn't even a requirement for them to have it in the helicopter at all. Even Billy English, who was the NTSB investigator, they went and told the board that Zabayan, he told the Air Force controller that he was going to climb to 4,000 feet to get above the clouds. But English said that he wasn't even experiencing, that he was experiencing disorientation because the helicopter banked to the left away from the 101 freeway while communicating with the controller. That it started to descend, so the altitude and acceleration was starting to go down, and they had a seismographic illusion. That's what they said. The acceleration of the chopper could be caused by the pilots to sense the aircraft was climbing when it was not. An inner ear can give you a false sense of orientation. So they saying the lack of visual cues while being surrounded by clouds worsened the problem, and the pilot suffered what is called as the leans. Um, Kobe, his daughter Gianna, and all the other teammates and parents and coaches who lost their lives on this airport, you know, this is no new news for them. Basically, it's a lot of loss, a lot of pain. It's going to be a lot of nights that we don't know about, that the kids are going to be waking up crying, uh, and because of this situation. A witness who was on his mountain bike up there told the investigators that when he was there, the area was surrounded by mist, and that he heard a sound of a helicopter and saw a blue and white chopper emerge from the clouds. And you know, he noted from the videos and the photos and everything else, depicted the flaw in the clouds obscuring the hilltoppers. The investigation, they said weather did not sneak up on him, as many people thought. And they tried to give him an alternative of landing at Van Nuys Airport. In the days following the crash, Jennifer Mendy said that the terrain awareness system, which is called TALS, would have provided more information, but they didn't get that. And they saying that could have prevented this deadly crash. So moving forward, hopefully every helicopter in the world would have this technology in there, because we cannot lose another life like this. You know, not saying that other people's lives are not important, but we don't need to lose people's lives, period, over something that is avoidable. I just really feel for the families, because that's a massive, massive loss. It's very massive. So, what you want to do is definitely, whenever you want, you can get back to the facts of the case and go from there and go over the findings. The board found no evidence that Kobe Bryant pressured the pilot, but the relationship of trust made Zobayan feel he needed to press on. Now, the board also said in a fully implemented safety management by Island Express that it would have helped, and that the flight data recorders could provided vital information. Investigators said the action of the air controller, uh, they did not lead to the crash, and they rejected suggestions from Island Express to that effect, because Island Express sued the FAA, claiming that the air traffic controllers were to blame for the crash. Um, the investigation proved Tuesday that making those recommendations to the FAA to improve helicopter safeties and all of these things, and that they're trying to cover their butt, in other words. So the reason why all of this is going on is because there's multi-million-dollar lawsuits. Island Express has gone bankrupt, basically. They have been grounded, so they're fighting with the FAA for their pilots in their company's history. It's reiterated their recommendations for helicopter manufacturers to install these systems in cockpits, auto images, everything, um, so they can strengthen, these decision-making skills related to weather, as far as cloudy skies and things of that nature. Now that they got the lawsuit, they say they take this very seriously, and they will respond, preliminary to them within the 90 days. Um, they said they felt like the operators conducting air tours and companies that design and produce air control machines with propellers. It's noted that its flight required data monitoring systems for helicopters engaged in air ambulance operations, and it is reviewing the feasibility of mandatory installation in such devices for other passenger aircraft. Meaning that if you're going to the hospital, people, the ambulance have the access, their helicopters have access to these technologies. And now they want to say, okay, for people who are just traveling, they need to have this type of, protection also. So, that's where we are right now. Just in case, you were wondering or something. Now, many people didn't realize that the former managing director and came by and said a key takeaway from the hearing is that they want to find a way to save lives going forward as much as possible with minimization and lower costs. That's not an excuse for not having one. In form of one way or another, it would be the biggest advance of safety. You know, every day, people thought about the people that died there, and they still think about it. How could you not? It's Kobe Bryant we're talking about. So it's 9 other people, but mainly Kobe Bryant and his daughter. It hits people in the heart. And for those other families and who have members, they got a lot of sleepless nights ahead of them for probably years to come. So it became, it really hits home, and they don't really want to ever have to go through this because right after this we got hit with COVID, and people couldn't go anywhere. And imagine the grief those kids had to go through, you know, dealing with this. Money is a wonderful thing to have, and you don't have to worry about that. But it frees up a lot of stress. How you're gonna survive or pay this bill or that bill, but it's not everything. And you've learned from people who have it, and they show you it's not everything. And when you start to realize that and start to focus on what really matters, and the real things that the life and family and issues, and you start to see the world as a lot, larger than you can ever imagine. So I'm gonna get out of here, man, and that's it. That's the report.